I still miss it tremendously. That pain never goes away. You just learn to live with it and deal with it, but it never leaves you. Every morning I wake up, the first thing I want to do is go outside and see what the weather's doing and whether I've got time.
Hello and welcome to the UK Surf Show. We are your hosts. I'm Pete.
And I'm Mitch.
You're not Leighton.
I'm not Leighton, you're right.
You're not Leighton.
Height, though.
Yeah, about the same height and build, yeah?
And what did Leighton say to you today when he listened to the Sebastian Surfskate Academy episode?
Leighton said to me today that he said it was a bit like stalking an ex on Facebook and finding out that she's getting on better with her new man.
It's all fun at the start, though. It might taper out once we're 7 or 8 episodes in.
Yeah, that's it. He'll be well happy listening to this then. On today's episode, we chat to Toby.
Yeah, Toby, he set up this really cool adventure. Outdoor clothing brand, all based around surfing and skating and motorbikes and positive mental health and that kind of stuff. And Toby is an ex-Marine, he's ex-UK Special Forces and suffered some horrendous life-changing injuries. A guy that I've kind of recently got involved with, and I've just been super inspired with his positive outlook given the circumstances he's been through. And the brand itself is just super cool. It's not like some standard cliche that I've seen for, ex-military mates who have got clothing brands and it's, flaming eagles and burning skulls.
Yeah.
It's not that at all. It's like, It's a proper serious brand. It's really cool.
So, should probably give a little bit of background about Toby as well before we start. Toby was in Afghanistan, is that right?
Yeah, so Toby, I'm sure multiple tours like myself of Afghan and all the other places that come with it. Toby's South African lad, grew up into massively extreme sports and stuff. But yeah, he got really severely injured on and off in Afghan back in, I think, 2009, I want to say. I was in Afghan at the same time, actually, and I'm sure he'll go into detail and the intricacies of what he can talk about and what happened to him specifically. But I would say, brace yourself. It's a very, it's quite an extreme event.
Yeah, and I mean this episode is for all. How do I explain it? For all the positivity that has come out of it does go quite dark in places as well. So, should put a trigger warning in about mental health. And, we've been running a mental health series, and I think this will fit into part of it because he does go dark into depression and stuff that's happened to him. And it's understandable when you start hearing the story, you'll know why.
But, and what an advocate for mental health, and he uses... he's one of them people who I think is using his own experience, regardless of how horrendous it might have been, to try and show the positives that can be taken away, such as human nature. He's such a strong-willed person, and he's using that for good. And if you listen to this and you have your own struggles and woes, not that it's a point of comparison at all, but, if you can heed some of the advice that, from what Toby's been through and how he manages to deal with his own gremlins and demons, then, I hope you can take something away from it. Yeah,
and also, I do apologise if any of the audio jumps, because I had an audio nightmare for a change. What is wrong with technology? Honestly, I've changed internet providers because I'm supposed to have, now super fast fibre broadband. I don't know what I've got. It's a pile of crap.
Oh, man.
It cut off halfway through.
It's actually, mine's amazing. It's perfect.
Yeah, well,
I don't have any dramas, but it must be the location you've got it installed.
Oh yeah, it must be.
I don't mean in your kitchen. I mean the location geographically.
Oh yeah.
What are you guys on, dial-up still?
Dial-up, yeah.
The carrier pigeon.
Yes, carrier pigeon.
Light the beacons.
Yeah, like you were saying about brands. Then, we don't like talking about brands unless we really like them. And two of the ones we really like, see that nice little segue there? North Core. So if you want 15% off anything you order from North Core, you can use the discount code SS2022, and that is valid till the 30th of June. And from the 1st of July, the code changes to SS Podcast 15. And that is from the 1st of July until the 30th of September. So up until the 30th of June, SS 2022 will get you 15% off anything you order from Northcore.
Perfect. And the other show sponsor is Surface Wetsuits, which I've spoken about in the past. And they're offering 10% off anything on the website using fully caps. The UK Surf Show 10, all caps, no spaces, and that'll give you 10% off anything on their website.
And talking of Surface, I didn't realise, but like last time you were on, we were chatting to Sebastian from the Surf Skate Academy, and you then told me afterwards how much. Well, we didn't really talk to him about surfing at all, to be honest.
I actually listened to that episode just a minute ago when I was in the gym, and I think we spoke about surfing once, and it was just how childish like me and you get excited when we catch a wave. Seb was a professional surfer as well. We didn't even touch on it.
Yeah, but like I forgot my point that I was going to say now.
I think you were going to say that he was a team rider for Surface. I'm guessing that's where you.
Yeah, that's where I was going, because you were telling me some of the things in the wetsuits is actually some of his input that have like things that have gone into the wetsuits as well.
Oh, for sure. And it kind of goes back to the point about he's so intricate with the knowledge that he has and how far he looks into stuff. Like for me, I think sometimes my opinion, it takes me as much by surprise as it probably would the person I've said it to, because if it's the first time I've ever said it, I'm like, where did that come from? But actually, he genuinely knows from a deep level what he's on about.
Yeah.
And he swears by them. So I've never tried one personally. So
honestly, mate, I'm not saying it just because they're a sponsor of the show, and like that is by far the best wetsuit I've tried. I put my summer one on in beginning of April, and I felt the other day, I went surfing the other day in it, and I felt like I could have gone in board shorts until I got out and realised my hands had gone numb. So it was like it was doing that much of a good job. So yeah, I can't recommend it enough.
That's fantastic. A great advert in itself, But at the same time, I would always couple people's opinion, if you want to call them influencers, I hate that expression, but if you want to call them that, people who are paid or given stuff to promote brands, I would always slightly question that opinion if you're getting it for free. But I think, again, personal perspective, I try and only, for that reason, actually, I try and only work with brands that I really genuinely love, but without trying it, it'd be hard for me to put a realistic, I think that's an amazing suit on it.
No, yeah, we've had the same. We've had people approach us and ask if we wanted to be involved with their product, and we've said no, because it's shit. without naming anybody, no thanks, it's shit.
Sometimes stuff is just shit, and it's quite simple just to leave it at that. Do you know what, actually, you said you surfed the other day? I surfed in Saltburn last week, and I had 2 sessions last week, and the time before I forgot my hood, so I had no choice, but then realised after a couple of duck dives, it's probably time, certainly in the north, to get rid of the hoods. Happy with that. Gloves are now gone. I thought, I'm going to try and get rid of the boots when I went last week. instant regret. It was horrendous. And I think I lasted like an hour and a half. And then, because I'm using surf grip as opposed to wax, and that's gripped with a D. And actually, I really love it. But for the
you were telling me about this. Yeah,
well, for the hour and a half, it was perfect. And then to the point where, when I couldn't feel my feet anymore. So you feel really like cumbersome and clunky. I had to actually get out and put my boots on, and they went back to being amazing. But these grips I've done, I don't know if you might have seen it in the past, but I've done a poll because I really wanted to look at putting, I think there's a few other brands, Hex Attraction, RS Pro, I think there's another one.
Yeah.
And I wanted them for my boards because most of my boards have my family tartan on. So I want that artwork to be seen. Yeah. And this new board, it's a thing of beauty. J Surfboards, it's absolutely stunning, this board. Anyway, I think I went into Board Barn to get some clear wax when I was in Devon, and he didn't have any. And he said, we've got this new stuff. It's called Gripped, again, Gripped with a D, Surf Gripped. Yeah. And I said, to be honest, I've ran polls on these sort of things before, and I really don't like it. They're abrasive to wetsuits. everyone I've seen that uses it ends up waxing it anyway. So what's the point in the first place? And he just told me a little bit more about it. And I thought, do you know what? Why not? I'll try it. And I think that must have been 3-4 months ago. And I'm still on my boards now. And I'm genuinely loving it. Like, it's been amazing. The board looks stunning. It's going to look new for the whole time I've got it on there. I did lose my thumbprints trying to push all the pads on. The board I put it on was a 5.7. Like, I was thinking, if I'd done that with a longboard, like, I'd be an amazing burglar now, as long as I just use my thumbs. But honestly, it's really good. Like, I really like it.
Well, yeah. Well, I think we'll talk a little bit more about that and everything afterwards. But we'll chomp on with the show.
Boom.
Yeah. So my name's Toby, or Tobias. Don't really mind. I'm from South Africa. I was born and raised in South Africa, and I decided at a certain age I want to come over and join the Royal Marines. So I did that. Served for a reasonable amount of time. Did some other things in my military career, and then unfortunately I was injured serving in Afghanistan, which left me paralysed from the neck down, which was pretty horrific.
Right.
But since then, I've sort of invented myself, and now I'm running my own business called Bravery, and it's an extreme sports brand, and it's all about surfing and motocross and skating, and it's just got a really cool message behind it.
Yeah, it sounds absolutely awesome. I mean, if we go from the start then, so like before you were in Afghanistan, what sort of things were you into then? What were you doing on a regular basis?
Well, I mean, when I was growing up in South Africa, I wasn't a very good child. I was quite naughty, and I was into my extreme sports massively growing up, and I was just one of those mischievous kids. I hated school, and all I wanted to do was go and I couldn't wait to go down to the beach or get on the dirt bikes or go and do something else. So I've always been into extreme sports. And South Africa is quite a different country in terms of, you got the climate for it. So outdoors a lot, and most people are doing these kind of things, and it's just a different culture, I guess. Throughout my childhood, I actually moved around a lot, and I ended up moving to California for
nice.
For a while. Can you believe it? I mean, at the time, it didn't seem very nice because I don't know. I was at that age where I just made some good mates. I was about 10 years old. And I just made some good mates and that. So when I first knew I was moving to California, I wasn't that stoked about it, if I'm honest. But now looking back, I mean, it's a dream, isn't it? Really,
what an opportunity!
Exactly. San Diego, here we come. Pacific Beach, surf, mega. Outdoors lifestyle, you'd lap it up, but
I guess it's hard to appreciate when you're that age what the opportunities you're presented. Like yourself, I moved around so much as a kid, and I actually hated it. I couldn't stand it. You get a good group of friends, and then boom, they're gone, and you're the new kid. And for me, that was just moving around Scotland, not to another country where you speak different and have a completely different culture about you.
And that's how it was. I hated it. So, I mean, I moved to California, and then with my parents, or should I say my mom's work, because it was just my mom looking after us. Then it was to the UK, where I spent a little bit of time here. And obviously, that was new schools, and they're not fitting in and all that. And then it was back to South Africa. New school again, new peer group, new mates. So I never really I never really had, like kind of like found my place in the world growing up. So
Yeah, I get you. Yeah,
I became natural, just keep moving, and that's really, it in a nutshell. I mean, I became quite a problem child, I guess, because of it, and I just started acting up, and just acting up and causing trouble. So, and most of the time, I was deliberately looking for trouble as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I think people go through that phase, in their later teens as well. I think for me it was probably after I joined the army that I became just a proper dick. I think there was just a period of a few years where, like you just said, looking for trouble. But when I look back now, I'm like, why? Like, what what was that about? What was the benefit for anyone? It was just, there's no need to be like that. But unfortunately, your childhood does play a huge part as to who you are, and I think that's equally part of growing, whether it's right or wrong.
Yeah, huge, man. I totally agree. It's that your childhood does play a massive role, and having peers or your parents, or just having role models in your life that are good, solid role models, it does make a massive difference. And I just didn't have any of that, so I had like no boundaries. No one really was like, telling me what I can and can't do, or more what I should or shouldn't be doing. So I was just like on a free for all,
That sounds epic when you put it like that.
It didn't end well, man. It didn't end well, and I got arrested a few times, and do you know what I mean? Just proper. I was a problem child all over.
And in terms of the surfing stuff and the skating, when and kind of what got you into that? Were you surrounded by it when you were at home, when you were a kid, or?
Well, yeah. I mean, at first, I was always into it growing up. But then when I did move over to California, that's when it really like jumped up a notch. And then when I eventually got back to South Africa, then I just ran with it. And I was just like, this is what I want to do. This is what I love doing. And it was like my passions. I wasn't into the more conventional sports. So like, rugby and football and all these kind of things. It just didn't really interest me, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I get you, yeah.
Yeah, I was more of I love nature and I love being outdoors and stuff and just being part of nature. I think it was just like my go-to place if I was angry or upset and just feeling like I couldn't cope. I could just, go and get all that frustration and energy out and reset or recalibrate, you know what I mean?
That's a really good way of putting it. I wish I had that something that I know I have now when I was a kid. Surfing for me, we spoke about it, I think last week, Tobes, that, surfing for me is like, as cliche as it sounds, this life reset, whether it be a good or a bad surf, I can come out the water and still feel better just for having been in. And I didn't have any of that. Like I've said before, surfing where I grew up was not a sport that it just wasn't a thing, It's obviously getting bigger now. But if I think back, if I had something like that as a kid, that thing that drives you, that passion, like I have for it now, I think I'd be a different person now, to be fair.
You'd still be a dick.
No,
yeah, it's true. I'd still have these piercing blue eyes, though.
No judgment yet, mate. No judgment yet. You're right. I mean, it wasn't good little, I don't know, outlet, I suppose. But, hey, I was very fortunate to have that. So that's really how I came to be in the extreme sports industry and world. And, it was like, that's my passions. And that's why I started Bravery and, my extreme sports brand. And I just wanted to continue that in some shape or form after my injury, So that's why I started it, Bravery. It's all about that, it's just a cool brand with a cool message.
Yeah. So, a couple of questions that I've got, and I mean, if at any point you want to tell me you don't want to answer that, or fuck off, that's absolutely fine, and we can cut that out, whatever. First of all, would you mind saying what happened in Afghanistan and how your life changed?
No, not at all. Not at all. I'm happy to talk about it. The only thing really I can't really talk about is sort of in-depth military detail. That's the only thing really. And because obviously where I was in my career, I can't really say what I was doing and who I was with, if that makes sense.
No, that's absolutely fine. That's fine.
Yeah. But,
so,
I mean...
Sorry, Tobes. Are you able to say the unit you serve with or not?
No, that's
fine.
Kind of stuff. Yeah, man, and trust me, unless you want a world of pain, I mean, your guys way from, disclosure and the MOD, trust me, I've done it before and it doesn't end well.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was worth asking now.
Yeah, mate.
Going down that rabbit hole, like I obviously understand.
Yeah, it's a nightmare, and they don't take kindly to it. So, but anyway, yeah. So after it was so my second tour in Afghanistan in 2009. We got given a job, and it was a crazy time in that 2009 period in Afghan. I don't know why, it was kicking off massively. We got assigned this job, and we went out at night, and it was quite a long walk in at night. So when we got to the target, it was pretty, we were pretty knackered, we set up, on a compound. We went through the door, and unfortunately, the insurgents or the Taliban, guys had already set up strategic sort of firing positions, and we walked basically just straight into it. Me and 3 other guys, and the guy behind me got shot in the knee. Luckily, the guy in front of me didn't get hit, but unfortunately, I took like the brunt of it, of a burst of fire from a AK-47. AK-47 round 7.62, and one round went straight through my neck, shattered my spinal cord. Just hit straight to my spinal cord. And then the second round ricocheted off the top or the side of my Kevlar helmet, and saved my life really. But obviously that first round did all the damage, mate, and it just paralyzed me instantly from the neck down.
What goes through your head like in that moment when that's happening?
Well, to be honest, absolutely nothing, because I was out cold. It was so close to my head. My head had knocked me out cold.
Right.
Well, it might have been the second round, to be fair, because even if it hit the Kevlar helmet, it'd probably knock you out anyway. It's a high velocity round, 7.62. It's not a 5.56 or anything small. That's coming at you, and over. I mean, he was only 10 meters away, so that's going to knock you out anyway. But because the first round that entered my neck was so close to the base of my skull, it pretty much was lights out instantly. Which was actually a blessing in disguise, because from what I've been told from my mates, it's horrendous. Do you know what I mean? It was, because they had to get me out, continue the fight, don't lose momentum, so on and so forth.
And presumably your first memories in Bastion, Row 3 Hospital?
Well, not even in Bastion, mate. So the guys, they pulled me out, man. Patched me up, try to find the entry wound and the exit wound. try and patch it with whatever they could find.
Yeah.
They realised I still had a good radial pulse, so they knew I was alive. But yeah, then I went back to batch, and I was put into an induced coma straight away.
Wow.
So yeah, I don't remember anything until actually waking up in Queen Elizabeth Hospital in the neuro RT ward after being in it. Yeah, I'd been in a coma for 3 months.
Shit, man.
After like 3 or 4 like heavy operations, man. Like, you know, literally to save my life, touch and go. Yeah, they couldn't do MRI scan because of the shrapnel or the pieces of bullets that were so close to my head. So there was never this clear identifying fact that I was actually still, compos mentis, or that I wasn't just brain dead. You know, the body was going, but the mind was gone. Yeah. So waking me up out of a coma was a risk, man, because, yeah, there was that 50-50 call. Do we just switch off the ventilator now and let him pass away? You know, which is pretty, it's, you know, the I don't know, I guess the kind thing to do. Or do we give him a chance? Do we give him that chance and see if he's still in there? But luckily they did. Luckily they took the second option. And, I woke up 3 months in a coma, after 3 months in a coma, and I was like, shit, oh man, what the hell is going on? But yeah, that was crazy time. Crazy time.
How do you pull? I don't know how to really word the question. How do you find the strength to pull? Because I think a lot of people out there would be thinking of what you've just said would be like someone's worst nightmare. And how do you find the strength to get through something like that?
Good question. Really good question. I mean, first of all, I think you'll be surprised how resilient humans are.
Yeah.
And humans just have this innate, it's like survival instinct, you know, and you'll do whatever it takes to survive. But also, you know, all my military training and everything I'd been through had all been there to mentally push me to I guess, you know, do as well as I could and be as tough as possible. So I had all these things on my side as well. But yeah, take nothing away. When I woke up, I didn't know what to do, man. I was, at first I didn't even believe it, if I'm honest. I thought it was all some sort of, just some nightmare. And I was going to wake up at some point and still be in my accommodation in Kandahar or something, you know.
Yeah. Toby, you know, when you woke up, was it a clear memory when you woke up, or did you have no idea? And did it take quite a bit of explaining as to what had happened and, you know, to understand how long you've been in a coma for?
Yeah, it took quite a lot of being explained to what had happened, what was going on, because I was really confused, you know. The cocktail of drugs that I was on from these induced comas is like, it's something else. So yeah, I was quite confused, but after a few weeks, it starts to really sink in that this is reality, and you got to start making a plan, you know, and how are you gonna take on this challenge, I suppose. And don't get me wrong, actually, you know, that's a process that takes years and years and years. In fact, I'm still doing it now. You never really you don't just wake up one day and feel good and feel like, okay, I know what I'm going to do with my life and everything's fine. No, it's not quite like that. It's like it's just a process that you deal with day in, day out, and you try and deal with it as best you can.
Yeah.
You know?
But, do you think, going back to talking about childhoods, I think there's probably some sort of correlation between those with a rough upbringing but having a strong mental attitude that goes with it. I'm not saying if you don't have a rough upbringing, you can't have that, but there's definitely something goes along with that. I think you'll find a lot of people that are in the military have probably had a rough upbringing. Not everyone, but for sure, in my friend circles, that's always been a similar story,
It's always that. I mean, it's always, I hate to use the word cliche, but yeah, it does seem to be like a trend, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Kids would sort of struggle to find their place in the world, get drawn to the military or whatever that may be. They're looking for something. I don't know. Maybe it's a family or they're missing something in their lives. But they do tend to come from these kind of rough backgrounds. And I mean, I just thought, here we go again, it just never freaking ends. You know what I mean? Life is, to me, life has always been hard. Life has always been tough. Life has never been kind to me. Life has never shown me the nice side and the pretty side. Don't get me wrong, there's been some good times. I'm not saying that, every second of my life has been absolute dog shit. I'm just saying, it's not been it's not been an easy ride.
So,
I guess, this just fell into it perfectly, I guess.
Yeah. So I was going to say, so how long from that point in your life until coming up with Bravery, what was the journey like to that, and how did you get to that point? Because, like you were saying then, for someone who's had a hard life and a lot of things thrown at them, I think you couldn't have picked a better name for the brand, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone, I'm just human, and I was going through a really, really bad patch, and it was it must have been about three years after my injury, and I just couldn't get to grips with it, man. I just felt like, I'd lost my career, I'd lost my identity, I'd lost everything pretty much. I'd lost my mates, my peers, my friends, everything. I just lost everything, and I was really, really, really struggling, and it wasn't actually until my welfare officer, my welfare team picked up that I was proper, in a state of real bad depression. Bad depression. I'm not just talking like, I'm struggling to get through the day. It was like, right, I've had enough. It's time. I wanna, switch the ventilator off. That's me. I'm thrown in the towel, kind of thing. Which was hard in itself because I'd never done that in my life. But it was something that I just felt, all right, I've made my match. And anyway, the military started getting me the help I needed, and I was admitted to a special sort of psychiatric hospital, and I started getting the help I needed. Started seeing professionals and talking to people, and just learning a bit about actually what depression is, what it actually means, what's going on in your body, and how your body's reacting. And I just got to this point where it was a T-junction in my life. Either I could go left and, carry on the path I was down, which was to end it all, or go right and decide to pick myself up and make a damn good go of this, and just make the best of a bad situation. And that's when I thought, shit, man, that takes true bravery, that takes real bravery, not just your running into firefights and because bravery comes in different shapes and forms. Everyone will have their own personal challenges and things. And it just dawned on me, this was me being brave and just having the bravery to carry on.
Yeah.
And then I thought to myself, I wonder how do I stay involved in the things that I love doing, How do I stay in the surfing world and the extreme sports world and the bikes and stuff? And I figured, why not start a brand,
Yeah.
Or bravery, because that is my story, That's me being brave, and it's about extreme sports,
Yeah.
Don't know really, yeah. And
I think the brand, Tobes, it's actually, when we spoke, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago for the first time.
Yeah.
I was genuinely blown away by how much I loved the brand. And I'm not just saying that, because we're on a podcast and whatever else. I wouldn't have wanted to get involved the same way if I didn't like it, as I said to you. And I loved this stuff, but the more I read about the story, the more I seen the things that you guys are up to as a brand, like the skating event you've done recently in Bristol, was it?
Yeah, that's right.
It just seemed like such a cool thing to be part of, and it's not, as I was saying to Pete before, it's not a typical ex-military clothing brand with flaming eagles and skulls and burning crosses, It's actually really smart.
Yeah, that's exactly what I didn't want it to be. I was like, no, I don't want this to be another military brand that is all skull and crossbones and all that kind of stuff, like the Punisher vibe.
Exactly that. Yeah, that's exactly the one. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, no, man.
That's for the sex toy business.
Yeah, exactly.
That's for shavery.
Yeah, and it's so cliche as well.
It really is. Yeah.
So I just wanted to do something that was really cool and that the kind of like and feel that I liked and that I used to enjoy wearing and that. And then, and just being involved in other stuff that wasn't ex-military stuff. It wasn't to do with the gym or, some sort of boot camp thing or, I don't know, some crazy security or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wanted to do something me and me, and this was it. So yeah, that's.
When you were serving, Toby, I'm sure you'll be able to relate to this. For me, ever since I started surfing, or more to the point, ever since I took up surfing seriously, it became a lifestyle. Anytime, anywhere I go with the army, any exercise course, whatever it might be, the first thing I look to do is, can I surf there?
Yeah.
I'm not going to Brecon. Okay, I know exactly. I'm going to go surf at Porthcawl. I'll take some boards. Everything for me still revolves around surfing, even on a military basis.
Yeah, which is so cool because there's not a lot of people like that.
No.
I don't know. Well, from my experience in the military, in the Marines, and seeing other units and other army regiments and the RAF and the Navy and whatever else. Like, there's not a lot of people who are sort of military focused and into extreme sports. It's a small demographic, put it that way.
It's surprising actually how often when I speak to other surfers for the first time or whatever, and they find out what I do as a job.
Like, oh wow, you're in the army. No way.
Yeah, you can't surf and be in the army. That doesn't go hand in hand. Like, there's not.
There
isn't a walk of life. There isn't a background that a surfer comes from. You know what? I saved a guy's life in St Andrews, and the other guy that helped me was a gynecologist as a surfer. That's not the stereotypical. It doesn't matter what you do, where you come from, as long as you enjoy it and you want to do it and you have a passion for it. That's what defines you is that sport.
I hate stereotypes, man. That is what I hated. When I was in the Marines and people would look at me like, he's a bit of like one of those, dudes who doesn't take anything seriously, and that because he goes off surfing on his weekends off, and he goes looking for just random surfing spots and traveling by himself. He's a bit of a lone rider in that, but I just didn't give a shit, to be honest. I freaking love surfing. And honestly, it was still my out. It was still my getaway. If I'd come back off, I don't know, exercise or some operation or whatever. Do you know what I mean? I just couldn't wait to.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Back in the water, be part of nature again, be part of the real world. Yeah. Because I just felt this calming, cooling effect coming over me, and it was like decompression, man.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense.
That calm and cooling feeling I get up here in the northeast is normally some brown fish floating about from the sewage pipes.
Oh, mate.
That warm feeling you get is normally the piss running down the inside of your wetsuit.
I do not piss in my wetsuit. I just want to make that clear. I just can't do it. I think it's disgusting. I genuinely don't. Yeah. It's often a topic of conversation. I will get out. I will paddle 300 meters to get out to go for a piss and get back in. Genuinely true. I tried it once. I think I'd done it in France. I thought, I'm just going to have a piss in my wetsuit. And I felt it go up over my shoulder and down my chest. And I was like, nah, this ain't for me. It's horrendous. I will go to that level of effort to go for a piss.
I think me and Pete are on different wavelengths.
Yeah, he gets in his wetsuit. So, I've got no surprise there.
Hey, mate, in the deep winter, yeah, definitely.
It stays warm longer.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah,
it's gone there.
But yeah, those I've certainly got good memories, man. Good memories,
Yeah.
The little things like that just stick in your brain,
How do you, the thing you used to love doing, like surfing, is taken away from you. How do you deal with that? Because I know a lot of people we speak to, they do that thing of like, it's just great to be in the sea, or it's just great to get out there and stuff like that. And for a lot of people, that is their mental health sanctuary or savior, if you say, and like you were saying, growing up as a kid, stuff like that really helped you. What do you do now to?
Well, that's I mean, I still miss it tremendously. That pain never goes away. You just learn to live with it and deal with it, but it never leaves you. Every morning I wake up. The first thing I want to do is go outside and see what the weather's doing and whether I've got time. But there's you just learn to cope with it. You learn little coping mechanisms along the way, and I guess now I do a lot of meditation. I do a lot of meditation. And again, people might think that's, especially in the military or wherever, might think that's airy fairy stuff. But no, it really helps, man. It really does, and it keeps me freaking sane, man. If I'm honest, because if I didn't, I'd fucking lose my mind. So just take some deep breaths to try and just acknowledge what your body's telling you, the frustrations, the anger, the rage, man, that is telling you all those things like life's not fair, and why me? Why did this have to happen to me? And all that. You just got to somehow just accept it, and just try and find that peace, when you're out there in the surf and it's quiet, and you kind of got that swell. You pass the breakers, you pass all the breakers, and you just got the swell, and it's pretty calm. I try and get to that place, in my head. And it just, I don't know, it reabsorbs all the anger, and I can just shake it off. And then
it is definitely a reachable place through meditation.
Yeah, and then I can sort of have a little bit of a regroup, Yeah, but don't get me wrong, it's not every day I'm able to even reach that point, you know. I said at the beginning, I'm only human, and sometimes sometimes you don't reach that point, but you got to try and you got to find something, you know.
I think that's the thing. You know, when people talk about personal mental health, they almost make out as if it's an absolute even line sort of playing field, but actually it's so up and down, it's so curved. Like, it's not a competition between how bad you know one person's got it to the next person. Somebody might have minimal problems, but they might not be very good at coping. So, in their head, they're in a much worse space than somebody who's physically worse off. Like, the battle's just with yourself. And I think in the times we've spoke, Toby, I've genuinely been blown away with your outlook, you know, and the way you deal with what you have going on. And you always seem like a super busy guy. You know, you've always got something going on as well. And it's always something really cool and fun and vibing.
Maybe that's our cope, mate. You know what I mean? Keep busy. Maybe there's a part of me that just stays distracted, because otherwise my demons would just eat me up, man. You know, so maybe but you're right. You're totally right. You know, mental health or people's problems are so personal and individual to that person. There's no way. Yeah, I get a lot of people who say to me, "Oh yeah, Tobes, you know, your problems seem so much bigger than mine, and it makes me feel so bad, and it makes me feel worse about myself," if you know what I mean? Like, because my problems seem so trivial. I'm like, dude, it's not about that. It doesn't work like that. It totally doesn't work like that. You can't, we're not on sort of, parallel lines here, and it's
no, for sure.
It's nothing like that at all. You got to think of it as your own thing is your own Mount Everest, you know.
I guess at the same time, you know, if somebody's struggling personally with mental health and they're able to look at someone else who seems to have worse problems and they're able to use that as, well, do you know what? My problems don't seem as bad. If somebody can have the takeaway from that puts them in a better frame of mind or a better place, it's definitely not a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing at all.
Equally, it's not healthy, is it? Comparing your problems to other people. I think I'm probably hugely guilty of that, even though I think I understand that. You know, having household I grew up in, my mum had cancer for 30 years and I think she had 7 different types of cancer my whole childhood. And actually, as of a couple of days ago, was the 1-year anniversary of her passing from, you know, cancer finally got her. But she fought that for 30 years, 7 different types of cancer. So, you know, I get diagnosed with Crohn's disease after my last Afghan tour, and surfing's really helped me with that. But I never really complain about it, even when it's really bad, because of what I grew up with. You know, when I put it in my head as a point of comparison, not that I sit and compare it, I'm sitting thinking, well, Crohn's, so I shit blood 40 times a day. Sometimes, you know, I have a man period. That's nothing on having cancer. So I don't think that's a bad, way of looking at it from a personal perspective. But at the same time, if you try to turn it into a competition, it's probably not equally healthy.
No, that's exactly what we're talking about. It's I guess I just don't like people thinking that putting that comparison in, putting themselves down because their problems are not the same as my problems, you know. Yeah.
Do you think that it was easier to get? Sorry, going way back to something you said earlier, when you said you got help for, like, you know, depression and everything. That, do you think it was easier to get help for depression? That the situations you were in, that they knew, you know, you'd been paralysed and he's going to need help with this, or did you have to fight hard still? Like, because there's so many people out there that have had stories of depression and, you know, different mental illness or mental health issues, have to fight so hard to get the help they need. Do you think it was easier for you to do that way, or did you have to fight just as hard?
Yeah, I did have to fight hard. I think I was fortunate that I had people, you know, the military sort of keeping a close eye on me and things. But I still had to fight hard to try and find that funding. and find the help that I needed. So well, it was tough.
Yeah.
But the help is out there. I think the system's just a little bit broken, or maybe that's the wrong term. I don't know.
I think the system needs to catch up. I think is what. Yeah.
It does need to catch up. Sometimes the writing's on the wall, and there's no one there to sort of acknowledge that and catch these people before it turns into even worse. And if I think my business head on, the NHS could probably save themselves a lot of money by catching these things early.
Yeah.
Before people need to be admitted to hospital or try and harm themselves and end up in hospital for months and months or weeks or whatever. Sometimes the writing's on the wall long before that. So maybe the social system and just the whole thing is just a little bit far behind. Maybe it's a little just far.
I think the thing with mental health is it's something that's always frustrated me, and I know we're sort of going through May's been a mental health month, and that's great that we're able to have a month to dedicate or whatever to that. But the fact that you dedicate a time period, a day, a week, a month, whatever it is, one, it's good because you highlight the thing, but two, it should just be a constant. If you're an employer, whichever business you run, if you're an employer, you ensure that that place of work is a safe environment. You ensure the practices for the staff you employ are safe and no one's going to get hurt doing it. But what we don't do, we don't include the mental health aspect, which, I don't know, if you work in the NHS, for example, what you have to deal with trauma-wise on a daily basis, is that infrastructure there from the start, from the very start when we're talking about risk? Is mental health included within that? Probably not. Exactly like you've just said, Toby. I think it's more an afterthought as to, well, this person is now, reaching out. Whereas had it been written in from the start, maybe it wouldn't have got to that point. That's my personal thoughts, but I kind of think it's so far behind in society.
I don't really know, but I mean, I would love to, have a place where, I'd like to look after if I ever got to a place where I had loads of employees in Bravery and in the business.
Yeah.
They're all happy to come to work. I want them to be amped and fired up to come to work and being like, I'm stoked to be here. And I think you get the best out of people, when there's that kind of environment.
100%, yeah.
I mean, it just gets the creative juices going, and I don't know, it just makes a good environment to be around, and positive people and happy people. Yeah,
definitely.
So if I had a choice, that's the kind of place I'd love to. I'd love to run.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And Toby, how big is the Bravery team? Is it just yourself, or?
No, I've got a few employees. Just a team of about 3 or 4 of us now. But a lot of the stuff I outsource. Different consultants, and sometimes I'll outsource to graphic designers, or I'm running a few good collabs and stuff like that. So just things like that. But Bravery is really small at the moment, but I want it to get bigger and bigger. I want to get out there, man.
Well, man, I've seen the social media. Like you're already doing really well for yourself. Anyway, like outside of the brand being really cool, the content, is it Ben? Is it Ben that does your filmmaking and photography?
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Oh man, yeah, I've spoke to Ben a few times. Like I'm always blown away when I see the content he puts out. I'm like, as an amateur filmmaker myself, I'm like, that's in my head what I think my content looks like, but I know it doesn't. That's what I'm striving to. It's so cool.
Yeah,
I'm like, he's done it again.
And when I surf, I think I look like Kelly Slater, but we've all got a dream.
Exactly.
That's it. Yeah, but no, yeah. Ben's a great guy, and he does do a lot of content. But he's we talk a lot about what we're talking about now. Being in a healthy mind space when we do business. If we're not feeling good in ourselves, it's especially when you're doing creative stuff and creative content. You've got to be in the right sort of mindset. And, sometimes it just takes a little bit of time to go away and, I don't know, do something you enjoy, like motorbikes or surf, skate, just be around some other people, and then come back when you're feeling right frame of mind. But he's a really cool dude, and we like to work like that, and we work really well together like that as well. Whenever we're together, we try and stay positive and stay amped, and we always look at really cool videos before, and we'll watch surf videos and try and get good ideas.
You just basically watch my Instagram, is that? That's a cool guy.
Check this dude out.
What a tool.
It in massively. But
Speaking of doing cool stuff, I saw your post from the weekend. Do you want to tell the listeners of the entire world what you were up to at the weekend?
Oh yeah, the Distinguished Gentleman's Ride.
Yeah, it sounds epic. But
it's a charity for men's mental health and for prostate cancer. And I think it actually started. It's an international charity now, and they do it all over the world. And it's just grown legs. And then it's here in the UK, and they do this ride out every year. And they do it in different parts of the country, every year as well. And basically, they raise money for mental health and for prostate cancer, which I think is really cool.
Definitely.
It's on their bikes, and we all dress up as distinguished gentlemen, I suppose.
It's all like tweed and corduroy, is it? I'm guessing.
Yeah. You try and be just out there and as charismatic as possible. The more outlandish, the more attention you can get, and the better. Which is really cool. But it's such a fun day, and it's just such a fun day. So on Sunday,
I saw you strapped into a sidecar like a Bond villain. You're just cutting about. It looked amazing.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I mean, I have a really good friend, ex-colleague I used to work with.
Yeah.
He's also out now. But me and him, we're on pretty similar wavelengths when it comes to surf, skate, bikes, this sort of stuff. So we always had this idea of building a sidecar since my injury. And the more we looked into it, no one's ever done it before for someone with my level of injury, which I find fascinating. Anyway, we just took on the challenge and decided, let's do this. And we did it. Yeah, we built this thing, and it just really, it's great. And it gets me out there. It keeps me involved, like I said, It keeps me involved with the sport, the culture, the people, friends. And that helps me in life. It makes me realize that life is still worth living, and there's still plenty of ways to do things. You just gotta think a little bit outside the box, just think outside the box. And sure, it might not be what you expected, and it might not be what it was before, but that's life. That's life. Just enjoy the ride, man. Just enjoy the ride.
I think you're a great advocate for the things you've got going on and for mental health, man. It's actually really endearing to hear your output and outlook on everything you've had going on, man.
Well, it's been real pleasure doing this and talking about surfing and talking about, I don't know, just the lifestyle of surfing and culture, and just getting more into the scene, doing more with Bravery, doing more with you guys. It's been awesome. Well, like I said, Bravery is an extreme sports brand. I wanted to grow. We got clothing, and we're working our way into bits of equipment, and got some great collabs coming out with some surfboard shapers. So we'll hopefully have Bravery surfboards out. What else? Yeah, we're doing, skateboard decks, our own, Bravery skateboard decks made from one of the best manufacturers in the world. and just all things like that. But yeah, we're just growing the brand slowly and surely. And hopefully we'll have some outlets, our own outlets, soon, actual Bravery shops where people can come in and chill out and watch them surf on the telly, and
nice.
You can have a coffee or something and just browse through the stuff and chat to people. It's almost like a hangout, you know what I mean? More than
I get that, yeah. I like them kind of shops.
Yeah, where you can hang out, and there's some couches where you can just, I don't know, max out, and I don't know, your kids and whatever can come in and have a look around. And there's more to do than just shop, I guess.
I totally feel the vibe of that, mate. I used to fire the 1 o'clock gun up at Edinburgh Castle on my last posting. And in the morning, I'd go get myself set up. And then obviously I'm waiting until 1 o'clock. So Finisterre opened a store in Edinburgh. And it was the same sort of thing. They would do like yoga days and local musicians and stuff. So I would just go hang out in the store. So that kind of vibe, I'm all about that in a sort of surf skate shop. I think that's super cool, man.
Yeah, so that's where I see Bravery, and then hopefully we just get a great following. I suppose now's my time to plug.
Yes.
Guys, follow Bravery on Instagram at bravery_org. No, that's wrong. Sorry.
It's UK, is it? I think it's UK.
Bravery_UK. Yeah, correct. And then it's on Facebook. It's Bravery Organization. So those are the two main platforms we use for Bravery, the brand. The website, if anyone's interested in checking it out and finding out more about the story and what we're about, go to www.bravery.org.uk, and you can, fill your boots, man. Check it out. But also, just with my story, I've got my autobiography coming out soon, and there's a lot more in that book. It's actually out on the 1st of September, but you can pre-order it now on Amazon and Waterstones. If you just go to, Amazon or Waterstones, and type in Toby Gutridge, Never Will I Die, which is the title of the book.
Strong.
Yeah, you can get on pre-order, and I talk a lot more about just in depth on what we've discussed today, my childhood, my military career, where I was based, what I was doing when I was shot. Don't worry, it's all been passed by disclosure this time. It's a wicked, it should be good. And I hope it's really going to help a lot of people in terms of just, showing people that no matter how bad it gets, the sun will rise tomorrow, and that's worth waiting for,
100% agree with that. You know what? That might be the most professional plug I've ever heard on the UK Surf Show. I don't think there's ever been anyone on with a book before coming out.
Oh, and Pete, I did jack up a discount code for your listeners, mate. If your listeners go onto Bravery's website, bravery.org.uk, and if they type in the code at checkout, BSurf10, they'll get 10% off anything you sell. So
Oh, that's brilliant. That's fantastic.
Perfect.
Cheers for that.
Yeah, man.
I mean, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I mean,
an absolute pleasure.
We've been running starting to run a mental health series as well, and I think a lot of what you've spoken about today will go link in with that series as well, because the things that you've had to overcome and the place you are now is just a phenomenal, inspiring, and just, I don't know. I don't know how, like I said, I don't know how you find the strength to do it, and I'm just in complete awe.
Well, I really appreciate that, Pete. Yeah. If there's just a little bit of advice I could give people or your listeners, it's just keep doing what you love. Get out there, get involved in the surf. it's awesome. And just be yourselves, and just be yourselves.
Thanks for that, Toby. That was just another mind blowing. Like I said, I don't know how. I don't know how you just. I just don't know. I don't know, Mitch. I just don't know.
This has been one of them. Like, being speechless is probably the right thing to do. Like, not trying to find the words, not trying to be clever, funny, or overanalyze. Like, I'm genuinely. I guess I live in this same world, similar world as Toby, and I'm around, injured ex-veterans and still serving. But when you hear a story from someone that you've never met, that's that intense and that level of pain and everything that goes with it, in your mind space and stuff, from, as it were, the horse's mouth. But to show that adversity and, doing something positive with your life where you could have, like Toby said many times, you wake up on days and just wishes that machine had been switched off.
Yeah.
And to get to where he's got to, I think it's honestly, for me, that's hugely inspirational. I think if more people could have such a positive outlook on life like that, the world would be a nicer place to be, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I actually don't have words, but like I said to him at the end, I know a lot of people don't like to hear the words that it's inspiring, but it is inspiring to see someone that's had their whole life turned upside down and is still at that point where they're going, I'm not just going to sit here, I'm going to do something, and I've got ideas and I'm going to make them come true. And what he's doing is fantastic. And I mean, like you said, I saw the T-shirt you were wearing earlier before the internet decided it wasn't playing anymore and cut me out. But those T-shirts, I'm a bit jealous that he sent you T-shirts and he hadn't sent me one.
Well, they don't do it big enough.
What a prick!
I mean, for your ego, obviously.
Oh right, yeah, great. Yeah.
Do you know what though? To go back to something I quoted from Toby at the start of the show, now that people have heard Toby's story, it's on his T-shirts as a quote I took from Toby and I will now use. I remind you that he said that, falling down is an accident, staying down is a choice.
Yeah.
Now that you've heard the story, that one-liner, that means a lot, I think.
Yeah.
It tells the thing about him.
Yeah, it's absolutely mad. And, like I said to him afterwards when we were chatting for a bit, it's something like surfability is something that he could get into. And he said, because of the ventilator, it can't go in water and stuff like that. And I mean, there's got to be technology out there that is around where they can move that forwards now, surely, for things like that.
Well, I suspect if there's somebody that's going to make that happen, it's probably Toby. Obviously that's something he's aspiring to get to. He was told that going in a sidecar on a motorbike, that's not going to happen. He's already made that happen. Guess what? He's obviously a doer. He's going to. So I think if somebody can make that happen, that's probably the man. Yeah,
it just keeps knocking on those doors, yeah.
But, Toby, he still goes to the surf spots and he still watches people surf, which is amazing. And that gives him that sense of still being part of it, which I think is amazing. Like, he can stoke for other people surfing, which I think is great. Yeah.
And what he said, that meditation, where that meditation is. And when we started this podcast, we tried to describe that feeling that you get. And, that when you, like you said, you're out past the breaking waves and you just sat there and it's peaceful. Yeah. That, if everyone could meditate to that level, like you said, he can't reach it all the time, but sometimes he can. If people could meditate to that level, I think more people would do it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. I think when I get past the breaking waves, that cleanup set still comes and gets me. So always looking for me.
You don't get past the breaking waves because you're too excited to be on the waves.
I'd probably injure myself being so stoked. Yeah. But you know what? A good mate of mine, another army surfer, Alex Mason, we done a Hebrides trip a couple of years ago, and it was a long drive. Most of them came from Newquay to drive to the North Islands in Scotland.
Yeah.
And when we finally got to this this break, like everybody was like super stoked in the van. You can imagine it was properly cranking. And Alex, the pillow, I like to call him, he was stoking so much and jumping around like a kid. He actually crooked his neck. He got a trapped nerve in his neck, and he couldn't move his head. He had to sit in the van while we all went out and surfed for about 2 days. He was devastated. I've never known anyone to get an injury from stoke.
Oh, mate, I've got one like that. My mate Chris, who I've mentioned before, not Logfin Chris, different guy. That we had loads of stories about his surfing antics and stuff like that. Yeah. And he went mountain biking once, and he got out the car, got on his bike, fell off his bike in the car park, and broke his collarbone.
Oh my god!
Yeah, so they're out there. The stories.
The kind of conversation we had recently, Pete. You mentioned something to me, I guess, which was based on something I said as a passing comment, and you were blown away the fact that I've been on the show as a guest, and it never came up as a point of conversation. And I think the reason for that is that I don't, I got away with it. I was, I guess, one of the lucky ones. So I don't use it as a thing to play on in my own head. But for mental health, it's definitely something that crosses my mind every now and again. And you said to me, I've been looking at your social media, and like, you're obviously a very beautiful person, somebody I look up to, and you're absolutely amazing, and I want to be you in every way, shape, and form.
Have you been dreaming about me again? What are things to say to you? Because I've never said that in my life.
That's how I remember it.
All right.
You said...
I know exactly what you're going to say. You're going to say what happened in Afghanistan, aren't you? And you never mentioned it on the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I will relay this conversation, because you and me were having a conversation on the phone.
You were saying how beautiful it was.
Yeah, okay. If that's what you took from our conversation, yeah. And just out of nowhere, you dropped in, oh yeah, when I was in Afghanistan and I stood on an IED, and I was like, and then you carried on talking, and I was like, you did what? And you're like, oh yeah. I was like, you never mentioned that when you were on the show as a guest. And to me, that's a fucking massive deal. That's something that I would I don't know if the words wear with pride is, but that is something that would come up if I'm telling a story about myself, I think.
To be honest, we were so busy talking about Red Leicester and chorizo toasties from the Toasty Shack.
Oh yeah, cheese toasty shack. You got it in. Cheese toasty shack.
That's 3 in a row.
You toasties for life.
Don't get me wrong. I recognise that is a big moment, but at the same time, I'm a realist. And I think, as I've said before, I think I said last time, like, I am way too emotionally retarded to let things, where I can, play on my mind. And I realise that, I've seen enough people stand on IDs and they've gone off. I spent 5 minutes, stood on one, waiting for it to go off after being in a massive contact, a firefight. And, I just had to wait for everyone to get out of the way, get into cover, and then I took the decision to step off it. We assumed it was a pressure release, meaning that it's not when you stand on it, it goes off. You stand on it, it kind of activates, if you like. It's when you step off it, when the pressure releases, that's when the device would detonate. So I just told everyone to get into cover, and it was there for like 5 minutes. But had I not stepped off it, I was just a massive sniper target, a free-for-all, really. So,
how does that play on your... Do you still think about that?
Not in I don't think how it could have been, because I can't change that, and thinking about it like that it's not helpful either. Yeah. The thing that I found interesting is that for people that go through extreme moments of duress, the things like, I don't know, prior to a massive car crash, something like that, when you see it coming, I've so often heard people talk about how, they see the life flash before their eyes. Yeah. And I remember being stood on that, and it wasn't when I stood on it, it was when I knew I was about to step off it, and I was fully expecting it to go off. All I remember thinking was, oh, please just make it quick and don't hurt. That's all I remember thinking. There was no fight for life. Like, there was nothing I could do. There was no like running and trying to escape. There was just a step off it and see what happens, and that was my choice.
Yeah.
And that's so I call bullshit on my life flash before my eyes.
maybe you just had a shit life and there's nothing to flash.
Maybe it flashed that quick. That was the problem. Yeah, it was all rubbish.
Should I tell you a curveball on that?
Mm.
When apparently they say that, don't they? That when you die, your life flashes before your eyes.
Right.
Have you ever thought about it in the terms of you're actually dying at the moment, and this is your life flashing before your eyes?
If my life flashing before my eyes involves 3 hours of recording audio with you, then I want it to be quick and painful. Maybe this is the IED going off.
Oh, fucking hell. God.
So,
all right.
Yeah, so
anyway.
I don't sort of play on that stuff. But what I will say out of that is that actually at the end of that tour is when I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease as well.
Yeah.
And tying that into surfing, all of them things, if we go back to, cliches as to why people surf. But for me, because I got diagnosed with Crohn's at the same time I started surfing, literally after that last Afghan tour.
Yeah.
They kind of go hand in hand. So for me, surfing came along at the time I got diagnosed, and as I've said many times, cliche, yes, but surfing for me is that life reset.
Yeah.
So when it is shit or it is rubbish or I'm struggling in any way, shape or form, then, having that, even just the want to go surfing, not even if I'm able to, there might be no surf, but that for me in my headspace is everything. And it's weird. It's such a strange thing that there's not many things can give you that, like there's nothing like for me spending time with my kids in Special K. That's amazing.
Yeah.
The thing that in your own headspace that surfing's able to give me is I can't even put it into words. It's just, I've never had nothing like that in my life.
Yeah.
And, regardless of ability, I'll tell you, there's nobody that we can all argue. There's nobody that stokes in the water as much as me, at least in my head. I'm sure there probably is, but I would like to think everyone thinks the same. I don't just go there and be miserable and surf and get annoyed and get angry. I take something away from it, like for life, and for myself.
Yeah. I mean, I went surfing the other day and I was having the shittest of shit days, like for a long time. And I went in the surf. And I just had that feeling of everything washed away, and I came out feeling better. And, I just felt great when I got out. Then my phone went off and I was in a fucking foul mood again.
Yeah, back to reality, isn't it?
Yeah. We've also, so Toby gave us that discount code that he read out, and Mitch is going to read that one out again.
Yeah, so there's another a discount code for the Bravery UK website, which is BSurf10, so all uppercase, and that's to spell it, Bravo Sierra, Uniform Romeo Foxtrot 10, and that will give you 10% off on the Bravery UK website.
Yeah, and also we were talking about the grip beforehand, before we went into this, and you totally rate the stuff and say it's amazing. Like yourself, I've heard things off people before saying, like, they're always really abrasive. They're more like grip tape of a skateboard. They rip your wetsuit up. It's like shit. I don't want to try it. How long have you been using this stuff for now?
I've been using Surf Gripped for it's about 3 months now, actually, on my new little tiny shortboard. And honestly, that's the thing. That's why I didn't want it, because I was hearing it was too hard, too aggressive, and it was damaging the fronts of wetsuits. It wasn't grippy enough through more aggressive turns, and people were just waxing their boards. So I didn't want it. And then when I saw this stuff, I felt it was a lot softer. Actually, it was the first thing I noticed. It was super soft in comparison. I thought, you know what? I'll give it a go. And I've not looked back. I spoke to Grip, the company today. I think I'm going to do all my boards now, and sort of do away with wax completely. That's how much I like it.
What's price comparison like between that and the others?
I wouldn't want to guess the price. I don't know. I think these ones are cheaper without checking than the other ones. But I guess if you think about it in longevity, how often are you replacing a bar of wax? I don't know. I go through wax quite a bit, to be fair. Yeah. Mainly because, where I surf, the minerals in the water makes your wax go black.
You want to try surfing a fucking longboard then?
Yeah. To be fair, the water's filthy down where you surf as well, isn't it?
No, it's not too bad.
I was there.
That's because you were in it.
So I think I'm going to do all my boards in it and do away with wax completely. So I actually really like it. And I've not had any dramas with it at all. It's weird when you put it on, it like to touch, it doesn't feel that sticky. Do a wet hand, it doesn't feel that sticky. But what I've realised is when you're weighted, when your weight's on the board or on the grip, that's when it really comes into its own. And I think that's probably the point of difference as to why it's not seemingly damaging wetsuits the way the other ones were. So when you're just lying, paddling about, and you're moving, your wetsuit front is constantly getting pulled on, and it doesn't seem to be the case with this one.
That's cool. So yeah, you've got a personal discount code for them, haven't you?
I sure do. So if anyone's interested in checking it out, so the discount code is Scottish10, and that's all uppercase. That will give you 10% off on the products. Go on the website, check them out, see what they're all about. It's a UK-based brand as well, which I'm all about supporting. Home talent and home stuff. And yeah, it's like I say, I swear by everyone's experience is going to be different, but if you're looking to stop using wax. There's also, without going into too much detail, the like non-PVC backing. So they're trying to be as sustainable as they can be, still making it work, of course.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to say it's a fully sustainable product, but it's they're trying very hard to get to that level. So check it out. Yeah, Surf Gripped with a D.
Cool. All right, man. Well, thank you again for Toby for coming on today. And I mean, you know, read his book. Like, if you like what you've heard, his book's coming out soon, and I'll put a link to that on the website as well. As he said, you can pre-order it, and it's just a phenomenal story, which I like. I'm still struggling to put into words how good he. Just struggling.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. It was something to hear. It really was.
Yeah. All right. So, on that note, until the next time,
bye.
Take care of yourselves and each other.
Oh, you didn't do it. Why did you do it? Bloody Pete's. Oh, why?
No matter how bad it gets, the sun will rise tomorrow, and that's worth waiting for,